Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Seems like a few years ago we were talking along the lines of something's wrong with the healthcare system, we need to fix it, and we were speaking to specialist upon specialist about what we should do about it all, and of course it all ended up with Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Health Care Act. And since then, gosh, I've heard some stories that just are troubling. I've known people who were so happy to be able to say, okay, I'm finally going to be able to afford health care, only to find out that it really wasn't something they could afford, even with the supplement that they were beginning. They got like a $350 supplement, and now their insurance was going to be $200 a month, and $200 was still not enough. I mean, it was still too high for them. They just couldn't afford it. I mean, everybody's not in the same boat. Other people who were very, very much in favor of the affordable health care are reporting that their prescriptions are going up. Robin, your husband's dollar amount for his prescriptions, et cetera, has gone up, correct?
Yep, the prescription amount went up $500 a month, and the insurance premium went up $300.
Wow.
Yep.
We have somebody on the phone who might be able to make sense out of all of this. Dr. Deane Waldman is on the phone. He served on the board of directors, or serves rather, currently, I think, on the board of directors of the New Mexico Health Insurance Exchange. His book is an eye-opener. I kind of wish this was published. Well, I don't know when it was published, but I wish we were talking about it anyway before
Obamacare.
All the laws were put into effect. The Cancer in Healthcare is the name of his book, How Greed is Killing What We Love. Dr. Deane Waldman, I understand you had trouble with the audio. I hope it's all fixed by now. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, and I hear you just fine. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I do hear you. Thank you so much for being on the air with us. Where are you right now?
I am in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I love Albuquerque. Isn't that the best place?
I am frequently on conference calls with people around the country, especially in the winter, and they, I'm from Canada, I'm from New York or Chicago, whatever, and then I say, I'm from Albuquerque, and they say, how's the weather here? And my response is, you don't want to know.
Well, the weather is nice here. You know what I like about Albuquerque?
We have beautiful weather. That's the point. They don't.
But it's arid. It's not as humid as it is here.
Oh, it is not humid at all.
No, it's really nice.
Water is something we don't have, and you have too much of.
So let me ask you this: when Obamacare was being talked about, what were your thoughts? Especially in light of everything else that was happening before that. I mean, you wouldn't argue that we needed to fix it because something was wrong with our healthcare system. But did we fix it with Obamacare or with the Affordable Health Care Act?
Yeah, let me go back one step. The answer is clearly no, but to go back one step, one of the things that the book says, the Cancer in Healthcare, that I really think people have to begin to think of is this. We keep talking about healthcare as though it's broken. Well, we need to start talking about healthcare as though it's a sick patient. And if it's a sick patient, you practice good medicine on the patient, even if the patient is a sick system. So if you're going to practice good medicine on sick healthcare, the first thing you do is you find out why the patient is sick rather than treating those symptoms, which leads me to the answer to your question, which is, was it sick before Obamacare? Absolutely. No question. We had a critically ill healthcare system. We were spending too much, and we were not getting the care that the patients need. Well, what was the reason or reasons why we were spending too much? And so I'll give you an answer in a second, but the bottom line is what Obamacare did was it actually expanded the cancer that is consuming healthcare. And so instead of making things better, just as Robin said, it is making things worse. It is making things less affordable. And more important even than that, it is making care less available. So we have the worst of all possible worlds.
Wow.
Because they were treating a symptom rather than treating the cause of healthcare's illness.
So the big question is, what is the prognosis? Is the patient going to survive? But can I tell you my theory? And I'm just a radio guy. I have no real inside information in any way. But I always thought that there was greed involved too. But I thought that the greed was us. I thought it started with the average person. And here's what I mean by that. The average person goes in to a doctor, and the doctor makes a mistake. All of a sudden, the average person says, well, I'm going to sue. And I'm not just going to sue for the $250 mistake. I'm going to go for $250 million.
Yeah.
And then so some lawyer says, yeah, let's help out. I want to help out because there's greed there too. And so it was this, what do we call it? Litigious?
Litigious.
Yeah.
Certainly that is a major factor. Some of us call it the lottery approach, which is, hey, I had a bad outcome. You don't even have to have a doctor make a mistake. You just have to have, I come from the state, you know about the famous McDonald's coffee lawsuit. Okay, well, the initial settlement was $120 million.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And it got talked down and whatever. The point that you're raising, which I think is valid, although I still am going to argue with it just for fun, is that is there personal responsibility in healthcare, which is one of the fundamental issues that we don't want to talk about, but we need to. You say it starts with our greed, and I will say that's true, except the our, O-U-R, includes the bureaucracy, and that's the cancer in healthcare, and I'm giving away the book. But I really want people to read The Cancer in Healthcare so that they understand that when they talk about corporate greed, for example, the drug companies and the insurance companies, and they are greedy, no question about it, but they're pikers compared to the amount of money that the bureaucracy is stealing from health care and giving it to healthcare bureaucracy. I did a cost-benefit analysis, a very long subject, which I'd be happy to discuss in some detail, and I'd love to. Bottom line is 40% of all the money we spend on healthcare in this country every year that produces no health care, that is, no goods or services that patients need, and it is being stolen by the bureaucracy. So, as a physician, I think to myself, my God, for $1 trillion, I could fix, I happen to be a pediatric cardiologist, I could fix every child with heart disease on the planet Earth. And that's what we spent last year on healthcare bureaucracy.
Wow.
That we could have spent on health care for patients.
So, is there any country or any society that has a healthy patient, using your metaphor?
The answer is no, because it pains me to say that. The answer is no. Although I could say that Taiwan actually has a system that sort of works well, but they throw in personal responsibility very much. The patient pays the doctor, a concept that is used to be standard in this country and now is totally foreign. It's sort of against the progressive agenda. Is there you think of Great Britain or Canada, they have all sorts of single-payer systems.
Yeah,
they have all sorts of problems, and the answer is, and here's where I challenge my people, the American people, we need to come up with a system that works. Not the government. We need to do it, which is really what I'm saying in the cancer and healthcare.
Yeah.
and we need to agree on certain principles. The reason, now I'm becoming a strong supporter of American exceptionalism, forgive me, but I believe that, is we can do this. We need to sit down and say, why is America went from 13 little nothing colonies to the strongest and most successful financially and every other way nation on earth? And the answer is, in my view, the Bill of Rights. We have a set of principles that we all agree on, starting with individual freedom, which means individual personal responsibility. Well, we don't have that in healthcare, and I'll give you a great example. We've got, 12 million, something like that, 13 million illegal residents in this country. Should they get free health care? Because they certainly aren't allowed to get Obamacare. Should they get free health care? The answer to that question needs to be addressed by the American people, not by Washington tell us what we should do or shouldn't do, or even my opinion. It should be our collective opinion.
Well, let me interject a question.
Sure.
Have you heard of this taxi service called Uber, where people with cars simply say, "Hey, I'll drive you for X number of dollars"?
Yeah, and not only have I heard of it, but I was in Chicago for a celebration just last week, and one of my friends from California said, "Oh, we need a cab. I'll get Uber." And the next thing I know, he gets Uber. If you're asking me, what do I think about that in terms of healthcare?
Right.
I love it. I love.
Well, that's what I've always thought. What would happen if you drew a line and you said, "Okay, I'm a doctor, and here's my circle, and I'm going to go to different houses one by one, and I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm going to say, 'Excuse me, do you have a doctor?' And they'll say, 'No, I use the emergency or whatever.' Well, here's my card. I'm very reasonable, and call me if you're ever sick, okay?" And then, okay, so here comes the phone call that this leads to, and it says, "Doctor, you came to my door. My Johnny's coughing. I don't know what to do. He's got a fever. Can you come over?" So now doctor goes over there, just like in the old days, charges $25 for a little checkup, and Johnny's fine. And the person says to his neighbor, "You're not going to believe what just happened. I paid $25 for the doctor, where I normally would pay like $1,000.
Right.
I mean, could that actually grow, something like that?
And the answer is absolutely yes, it is growing. People call it concierge medicine, but I prefer the term direct pay medicine. And I can tell you, I was on another show about 2 weeks ago, and this woman called up and wanted to tell her story. And when she started telling her story, both the host and I loved it. She said she was a veteran, and she had severe back problems, and she went to her veterans hospital, and long story, yes, they could fix her. It was going to cost $126,000.
Wow.
They could put her in line, and they had a doctor who had done several of these before. She got very concerned about this. Make a long story short, she went around and got on the internet and found a place in Oklahoma that had a doctor that did her particular type of surgery and had done several thousand of them. And the price, fixed price, but if she had to pay cash on the barrelhead, was $11,000. Now, you go, $11,000 is still a lot of money. That's true. But what Americans don't seem to understand is every single one of us, you, Larry, Robin, me, everybody, and our children, we pay last year, we paid $8,450 per person for health care in this country, and most of it went to the bureaucracy. That's
wow. That's a shame.
And so I say to myself, well, what if you had that $8,000 and you just stuck it in a health savings account? Well, in 2 years, you'd have enough to pay for that $11,000, but you're paying directly. It's your money, because it is your money, and you should have control of your money. And that's my big complaint with our system. Our people don't have control of their money. I just read today in the Wall Street Journal that the drug companies are no longer targeting with their market research. They're no longer targeting the doctors. Why? Because the doctors no longer decide what drug you, me, or Robin's husband are going to get to treat his or her illness. the person who decides it is the hospital administrator.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so, gosh, doctor, you're making so much sense. If we had done what you just described that lady did from the veteran's story, if we had all done that before Obamacare was passed, everybody would have said, we don't need Obamacare, we've got our own fix-it. But now that Obamacare has passed, it's a law. And so if you don't sign up, am I wrong? Am I wrong about this? You get in trouble.
No, you're completely right. And my greatest fear is that in Canada, for instance, it is illegal for a patient to pay the doctor. And I am deathly afraid that our Congress will pass. I think now that it's no longer Democrat-controlled, maybe it won't. But anyway, I am fearful that they'll say, no, we should follow the Canadian model, and everybody has to sign up because it's the law, and the doctors work for the government, and no, Robin, Larry, Deane, you can't pay the doctor because it's illegal, because we're taking care of you. Well, of course, they're taking care of us with our money, and meanwhile, I'll give you another that really didn't get enough press. I put this in a book. Obamacare just signed up 2.2 million new people from Medicaid in California, okay? So everybody hailed this as a success. Nobody paid attention to a survey that showed that 70% of the doctors in California can't afford to take the government reimbursement.
Oh, man. Well, see that doctor. The greed part of this makes me realize that the question I'm going to ask is already answered by the greed part. But I just want to ask it anyway, and hopefully that little disclaimer or intro will make sense. If our congressmen and senators were really listening to we the people, and if people like yourself were writing letters, making phone calls, trying to give them some guidance, because, a congressman is not a doctor. Mm-hmm. A congressman is usually a lawyer, maybe a law enforcement officer of some sort in the past, but there's not too many actual medical experts. So if I was in Congress, I would want to hear from medical experts like yourself. So if a medical expert like you comes to me with a great idea that we should have used, but I choose not to use it, then chances are there's somebody on the other side, hanging out in my hallway or something with dollars to say, no, don't go the way he's suggesting, go the way I'm suggesting, because it's going to be good for you. Am I right?
No, you're dead on target. The fact is, and it is they serve not us, but the cancer.
They serve the cancer.
And this is really bad from a physician point of view also, because they do so much pro bono work that this is almost making it impossible for them to do that now.
No, absolutely true. I try to, most doctors like to give, if you will, special consideration to, I'm a pediatric cardiologist, so the children of nurses or the children of other doctors or social workers, just because that's the way we do things. My hospital doesn't allow me to do that.
Oh my gosh!
Well, the listeners need to know that there's a book about all of this, because the one thing that's true about a radio interview is it only scratches the surface, especially when there's something as detailed as the book you've written. The book is called "The Cancer in Healthcare: How Greed is Killing What We Love." Dr. Deane Waldman is the author of the book. Do you know, I've heard this before, that everything has gone down in price as we've improved. Electronics have gone down. Well, automobiles haven't really, but healthcare is one thing that goes up exponentially. And whereas you would think with technology, we had in the studio a heart surgeon, and he was from Germany. Mm-hmm. And this was before Obamacare was passed, and we were told that Germany has this wonderful healthcare system. And he said it was wonderful, but it wouldn't work for the United States. And I said, well, why? And he said because there's too many things that have to happen for it to occur quickly. It would have to take a long time to happen. I don't know if you agree with that. But he himself was telling us that the way what I was getting at here, he has was it a $150,000 piece of equipment?
Yes.
Was it what?
Yep.
He wouldn't be able to afford the equipment needed to do what he had to do.
He's sadly quite right. And Germany's a great example of why we Americans need to talk about these things. Germany has a system that works for German citizens. But, for example, before the wall came down, by the way, I was in Germany when the wall went up.
Oh, my.
I can tell you stories about that. It's just I was a student there then. Anyway, Germany has 2 million guest workers that they invited in before the wall went down because they needed labor force from Turkey. Those people they've been living in Germany for 20, 30 years, yet the National Health Service doesn't recognize them because they're not German citizens. My point is that's the same thing as our 12 million illegal residents. What should we do? And the answer is it has to be decided by we the people, not by somebody telling us what we should do and spending our money doing it.
Okay. And will they listen to us, or is that money that...
I'll tell you something funny. I have been doing a survey now for, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years. Every time we talk politics with anybody in a party or you on the radio or something, I ask this question of just average Americans. If you could throw out 535 members of Congress, no exceptions, you can't keep anybody, throw them all out, just all of them, Democrats, Republicans, both, would you do it? Virtually everybody has said yes. And the reason is we don't feel that they represent us or our interests anymore. They represent their own interests. They represent the cancer. And in healthcare, it is the cancer in healthcare that they're representing and serving the best interest of. And it pains me to say that.
But the one thing, though, with your members of Congress story, we can't kick out 535. We can only kick out one. And the problem is we don't like 534 of them, and we like ours.
Yeah.
Everybody says that. It's true. Most of the time, it's true. I have problems with my own, but that's you're right. Everybody says, yeah, I want to kick out all of them, but mine I kind of like.
Oh, but the one I can kick out.
Yeah, I know, but my response is, well, what has he done for you, or what has she done for you? And I include, by the way, I want you to know, you asked about the congressmen and their lack of knowledge of medicine. I've sent letters to all 20. There are 20 physicians in Congress. And I've sent letters to all of them, and I actually sent them the book, The Cancer in Healthcare, and asked them to read it. What happens, it's really frightening to me. What happens is they go from being good doctors who care about their patients first, and they get elected to Congress, and they immediately convert to the politician mode rather than the doctor mode.
Congressman
and
Yoho,
I don't know why that happens,
dentist,
but it does.
Yeah, we have a local congressman. I don't know him, and I'm not saying negative things about him. I'm just saying that he was a dentist, so...
Yeah.
But this is his first term, right? So maybe he's still...
Yes.
I have a copy of the book. It's called The Cancer in Healthcare, How Greed is Killing What We Love. Dr. Deane Waldman is the author. If you want the copy that Dr. Waldman sent us, call me. I'll leave it here at the station for you. The rest of us have to go buy it. Doctor, we're out of time, so tell us a website and how we can get the book.
It's very easy, and I encourage people to do it because there's a special sale on from the publisher. Just go to DeaneWaldman.com. That's DeaneWaldman.com, and you can get the book right there at a cheaper price than Amazon or anybody else.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for being on the air. You make so much sense, and I think it's a disgrace, really, that our elected officials weren't listening to people like you before they made the decisions they made. We need to start doing something to cure the patient that is healthcare, and I love that metaphor. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. All is well at West High School in Manchester, New Hampshire, where earlier this morning the school was locked down after a former student was seen entering the building with a handgun in his waistband.
It seems to be that the suspect has been apprehended and things are okay at the school. Nobody got hurt and everything's under control.
State Senator Lou D'Alessandro, no threats were made. The Brits are almost on board in the fight against ISIS.
Tomorrow, here in London, British Prime Minister David Cameron saying he'll go before the British Parliament to secure backing for UK forces to begin airstrikes on ISIS targets in Iraq.
We are facing an evil against which the whole of the world should unite.
Although Britain is not expected to take part in strikes on Syria.
Fox Radio Simon Owen. There was only one winner in the latest Powerball jackpot. He or she bought the winning ticket in San Mateo, California, near San Francisco. 44 states took part. The jackpot, $225 million. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Sending important work files as regular attachments is a big risk. You lose control the moment you hit send. That's why millions of professionals rely on Citrix ShareFile, the easy-to-use business solution for exchanging files quickly and securely. With ShareFile, send files of almost any size without bounce backs. Files are encrypted and remain under your control. Try Citrix ShareFile free for 30 days. Go to sharefile.com, click the microphone at the top of the homepage and enter information. That's sharefile.com, type in information.
Let's get down to business. You don't travel too often for work, but when you do, you want to stay where you know you'll be taken care of. That's where Choice Hotels comes in. We have everything you need to keep you on top of your game, like free hot breakfast for that much-needed morning boost, free internet to keep you in touch with home base, and a generous loyalty program so you can earn great rewards. Stay for business at Choice Hotels and book now at choicehotels.com. Great endings begin here. Amenities vary by location.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Okay, easy. All right, set her down. Over there. Easy.
What are you doing?
Oh, honey, you're home early. Nothing.
Really? Because it looks to me like you've torn up the entire yard with this giant tractor.
Not all of it. There is a small section over there I didn't
That's
get.
not even funny. Why are you tearing up my yard?
Well, the sprinkler head broke.
So you thought it was a good idea to fix it with a huge tractor?
Well, not at first, but then when I tried to fix it, I hit the main line. Thought it would be a good idea
You thought all of this was a good idea? Here's an idea. Why don't you just call Mike Scott Plumbing? It's that easy. In fact, let me help you out with that. 237-2888.
But it's the weekend.
I know. They don't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. Remember the commercials? If water runs through it, they do it. And they're already on their way. So get this monstrosity out of my yard.
on next week's episode of What Not to Do.
A crane? Really?
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information. Must act by 1/15/14.
Here are today's headlines from the source WOCA. The race for governor of Florida looks as close as ever, with a new statewide poll showing voters are evenly divided on the contest. The September 17th through 22nd poll by Quinnipiac University shows Republican Governor Rick Scott with 44% support, Democrat Charlie Crist with 42%, and Libertarian Adrian Wiley at 8%. The poll of 991 likely voters has a margin of error of 3.1 percentage points, making the race a statistical tie days before hundreds of thousands of voters begin to cast absentee ballots. This marks the first time that a Quinnipiac poll shows Scott in the lead in his bid for a second term. A man wanted in a 1995 murder was caught almost 20 years later in San Francisco, according to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Deputies said authorities had been looking for 47-year-old Antonio Calvillo since March of 1995, after he became the prime suspect in a murder in Belle Glade. He escaped to Mexico when he realized authorities were planning to arrest him. Deputies said Calvillo killed a woman by smashing her head with a 5-gallon bucket of dirt. They arrested him on September 15th. He is being held in San Francisco awaiting an extradition hearing, according to a sheriff's office news release. According to an arrest report from the original incident, deputies found the body of 27-year-old Shirley Lassiter on March 19, 1995, in a field in Belle Glade. Deputies said they found her body next to a 5-gallon bucket, according to the report. Ocala Fire Rescue will be accepting supply donations for Marion County's PACE organization. PACE stands for Practical, Academic, and Cultural Education and is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping at-risk girls between the ages of 12 and 18. For the following month, school supplies and personal hygiene donations will be accepted at fire stations located in the city limits. Among the items needed are school supplies, body wash, copy paper, feminine products, etc. And if you'd like to have more information, you can contact Ocala Fire Rescue's administrative office at 352-629-8306. Florida First Lady Ann Scott visited an elementary school in West Palm Beach yesterday. With more than 4,000 books read, Grassy Waters Elementary won the First Lady's Summer Literacy Adventure. 4 additional winning schools will receive a certificate in recognition of their outstanding participation in the Summer Literacy Adventure. The First Lady's Summer Literacy Adventure challenged students to read as many books as possible during the summer break. First Lady Scott visited state parks and encouraged children to keep reading while they enjoyed the natural beauty of Florida's state parks. The Florida Lottery donated books to students throughout the summer as part of the 2014 Summer Literacy Adventure. And Special Olympics of Marion County is holding 2 fundraising events that will delight NFL fans. Miami Dolphins running back Don Nottingham, also known as the Human Bowling Ball, has announced that over a dozen of his NFL buddies will be participating in 2 Special Olympics fundraisers in Marion County. The first is on Friday, October 3rd from 6 till 10 p.m. at Jambalaya. It's a dinner complete with an open bar and decadent desserts and an opportunity to chat and hang out with some of professional football's biggest stars. Then the next day, Saturday, October 4th, the NFL champions will play golf at a tournament in Silver Spring Shores with an after-game bash with fans at the 19th hole. To learn more or to get tickets for either event, call Maria Roman at 352-462-0380. And those are the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Intervals of clouds and sun today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm arriving during the afternoon hours over the interior. The high 83 to 87. A leftover shower or thunderstorm this evening, then partly cloudy overnight, low 71 to 75. Clouds and breaks of sun tomorrow with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon over the interior. The high tomorrow 83 to 87. For Saturday, clouds and sun with some showers and a thunderstorm, highs in the upper 80s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Special Olympics of Marion County is holding 2 fundraising events that will delight NFL fans.
Miami Dolphins running back Don Nottingham